From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here. On a Tuesday, we have a good show on tap, but before we get to that, it's not the topic for our conversation today, but of course by now you've probably heard that legendary UT Lady Vols basketball coach Pat Summitt died early this morning. Not unexpected after her battle with Alzheimer's, and you know, we kind of got word that she was really slipping through the weekend, and many of her players and closest friends and family went to say their goodbyes over the weekend, and she did at age 64. Die this morning. We all have taken a moment to think about her. Our whole morning newscast was dedicated to that, and we'll certainly talk more about her later this week, but it's not the topic of the show today. But you know, I had to mention it. It's been an emotional morning for me. I never met the woman, but I had so much respect for her and what she stood for, and I just wanted to mention that in the unlikely event that perhaps you hadn't heard yet. Pat Summitt dead at 64. And certainly there'll be a lot more to come on that throughout the day on the News Channel 5 network, so stay tuned. But we do have a subject this morning that I think is important to a lot of us, not just if you live in Nashville. If you're a visitor, you recognize the just incredible growth we're seeing here and the hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be moving here over the coming years. Where are we going to put all this traffic? And it's already a headache, is it not? So the question is, mass transit. Are we going to just talk about it, or really going to do something about it? With us this morning, two guests to take your calls and comments with us. Steve Bland with us. He's the CEO for the Metro Transit Authority, MTA. Nice to have you on, sir.
Thank you, Nick.
Good to have you on. And Bert Matthews is with the Nashville Chamber of Commerce, but is involved in so much more. You're the president of the Matthews Company, but you're also involved in a project. I was going to let you kind of explain it because it's a mouthful of your involvement as a volunteer.
Sure. The Chamber has brought a group of business people together in a project called Moving Forward, run by Gary Garfield, who is the head of Bridgestone. And the committee that I've been working on with Dr. Judy Cummings is the Routes, Network, and Modes Committee. We're focusing on where things are going. Okay,
and that's what we want to talk about, where things are going. The mayor sounds like she's on board with the idea, right? We have this new mayor, Megan Barry, and I think she's progressive, forward-thinking, and recognizes the growth. And you know, the real issue is going to come, you know, long after she's out of office. You know, if she's there for, let's say, you know, two terms. Still, the growth. What are we talking? 1 million in the next 25 years?
Yep, that's the projection.
And what's the population now?
In the region, it's about 1.8 million.
So we're talking almost doubling.
Close to 3 million people. In 25 years, Nashville is projected to be as large as the Denver region is today.
So what do you perceive as being, both of you, I'll ask you and you take turns, the issue here? Is it that it's about time we start looking at a way to get people around, not just with their own cars, but give them other options?
Yeah. Well, I think, Nick, that's really the key to it. Okay. It's not about trying to get people out of their cars. It's about trying to give people a range of options that they can take the most appropriate, the most convenient option for whatever particular trip they're using.
Sure.
I think if you use a sports analogy, Nashville as a region ranks about 36th in population. Okay. We're 4th in freeway lane miles per capita, 5th in miles traveled, miles driven per capita, and 11th in congestion per capita, but 76th in mass transit ridership. So if
those
you were
directly connected, aren't they?
Exactly. If you were the general manager of the Titans and you had a great running offense and a great passing offense and a great defensive line, but they just kept throwing touchdowns over your head, you wouldn't necessarily strengthen the quarterback or the running back. You'd be looking at the secondary.
Right.
So I think a lot of what Moving Forward has said is, let's look at some of those missing links and see what we can do in the short, medium, and long-term future.
Everyone's, I would think, for this idea. I don't know what critics, I don't know who would be against finding these solutions. I mean, business is clearly, how important is this to business?
So for business and for everybody in the community, it's absolutely critical. What Steve's talking about in terms of choices and for different ride or trips that you're going to be making, if we don't have those type of choices, then our region is just going to lock up, and we're going to be in traffic longer and longer and longer. So we've got to grapple with a solution today. Otherwise, we're going to be living in a place that people won't want to come to anymore, and we will be stuck in traffic for a long, long time. So moving forward is about working with the MTA to come up with a series of plans to be able to answer those kind of questions in the future.
All right, and to me, there have always been studies and plans, and we've looked at, how the city's going to develop. Those kind of plans have been done. All right, and I understand it's the way the system works with politics and plans and committees, okay? And guys in suits. But, let's just get down to brass tacks here. All right, it comes down to one thing, and that's money. All right, I'm sorry, that's it. That's all that matters. It's money. Because if we had, no, I know you're going to say, well, there's all this. No. It is money. And whether or not we're willing to pay for a system that will be efficient and will really do the job. Now, I know there's a bunch of other crap that comes after it about passing this and zoning that. But it really all comes down to money and whether or not the taxpayers are going to be willing to foot the bill for, say, for instance, a light rail system that's independent, that doesn't get subjected to the traffic flow, that can get you where you want to go all time of day. Isn't that what it comes down to?
It does come down to money, but people have got to vote for that. And in order to do that, what you've got to do is you've got to reach out to the community, make sure that they understand the issue. They've got to understand the choices that they're going to make in order to be able to vote to support something like that. And that is where we are today, is making people understand what's going on.
But how do you not understand if you drive to Nashville and experience it? And it's not anywhere close to what it's going to be if we don't do something. But if you come down here anytime, and there's all kinds of wonderful stuff, and let's face it, it's a great city, probably the hottest city in the country, so it's awesome. I love it. But how do you not aware of it? What, you really need to be educated that we need a better system for traffic? Where do you live, under a rock? The truth is, how do you not know? Well, I know you have to educate and get them up to speed, but goodness gracious.
I think one of the interesting things to your point about money is, first of all, there are some people who have this perception, well, this is a lot of money to build, so our choice is, do we spend the money or not? We're going to spend the money no matter what. You spend it if you improve roadway infrastructure. If we don't do anything, it's the increased cost of delay. So if it takes you a half an hour to get home now, and it takes you an hour in 15 years, well, are you paying late fees at your child's daycare center? Are you missing that time at home?
Great. Yeah.
Is the corporate community losing out on potential employees
maybe not
or
coming
potential
because
customers?
Of that. Exactly.
So the issue that we are going to either spend money or not spend money is frankly inaccurate. We're going to spend money one way or the other. What's been interesting to me in this discussion, so there's sort of always been this conversation about downtown Nashville and that focal point. As we've gone around the 10-county region, you're seeing a conversation pop up all over the place. In fact, if you sit on I-65 between Franklin and Nashville at 5 o'clock, I defy you to tell me which direction rush hour is in.
You're exactly right.
So it's popping up in Williamson. It's certainly an issue, a hot issue in Rutherford County. We probably get better turnout and attention, frankly, at events in Rutherford County than just about anywhere in the region. And I think that's what's really coming to a head right now, is that this isn't just a Nashville problem. It's not just a downtown problem. It's a regional issue that will affect growth in Nashville, but also in places like Mount Juliet or even Dixon.
Yeah, I was about to say, you don't leave Wilson County out where I live, and with Providence and everything else, the congestion that comes with that. So it's something that would be a benefit. So, okay, you're talking about MTA. You're with MTA, and is it something then that when we maybe settle, and I want to talk with you guys before the end of the show here about the options that are out there, that we would want all these other communities to become involved as well and help pay toward whatever it is we want to pay, so that it's not just Metro, but I want to have that light rail, and I just use that as an example. We'll talk about how they have that in Portland, coming out to Mount Juliet. So I can hop on there, come on in on my light rail, have a cup of coffee, read the paper, get off, and then have it when I get done after breaking news, and I don't get out of here till 7, the train's still waiting for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something where we need to have a collection of communities?
So let me just, so when Moving Forward released our report last week, so politically you had Megan Berry was there, mayor of Nashville. You had Kim McMillan, who is the mayor of Clarksville, and you had Randall Hutto, who is the mayor of Wilson County. All three of those folks spoke in support of the project. So you are absolutely right. It's got to be a regional solution.
And everyone pitching in. And financially as well.
I'd also point to, in addition, around the MTA, we operate the Regional Transportation Authority, which is the 10-county transportation authority that owns and operates the Music City Star, a number of the commuter bus lines. And actually the board of the RTA is composed of the mayors of the cities and the counties in the region, including Mayor Berry, and frankly some of the most vocal advocates of a regional mass transit, multimodal transportation effort are some of those outlying mayors, because they know that the health and the economic well-being of their communities is directly tied to how easily people can get around and get in and out of Nashville.
Yeah, it's at the heart of it all. Listen, all right, let's take a break. But yeah, want to look at this. I mean, you're quoted, let's go bigger and bolder. Yeah, I like that. Now, we've got the top tier proposals, the middle tier plan, less ambitious plan, all of that. We'll talk about what the options. I want to know what you think. We'll talk about some of the costs involved, but I mean, this is the direction. He's absolutely right. You're going to pay one way or the other. Why not pay to make it better and get it fixed? Let's take a break. We'll be back with your phone calls, our conversation on mass transit, Metro Nashville. But you know what? As they just said, it's going to go beyond the city. We'll be back right after this.